Hey everyone, my name is Ignacio, also known as Big Iggy. This is the first English speaking video I wanted to make just to expand my knowledge, I guess, to everyone in the world. And as you can see, I'm in the beautiful beaches of Vancouver, BC. So, yeah, I just wanted to talk to you about the movies I recently watched. Specifically, I've watched all of the movies that are nominated now for Best Picture. I'm very proud of that. It's the first year that I've managed to do that before the ceremony of the Oscars. So, let's get into it. I also wanted to clarify that the way I'm gonna do this is by arranging the movies from my least liked towards my favorite movie of the bunch. So just to make it a bit more mysterious, I guess, and going from worst to best, basically. So we're basically gonna give you my best recommendations until the end, so you stay till the end of the video. So let's do it. So the first movie on this list, which is basically the one that I didn't like at all, as I guess most of you would have assumed, is Emilia Perez. And it's pronounced Emilia Perez, not Emilia Perez, like a lot of y'all are saying for some reason. To be honest, I don't know what can I add to the discussion beyond what everyone has basically said already about this movie. I just want to say that while I was watching it, I felt pretty uncomfortable, and but I can see how if if you turn your brain off completely, maybe as a Hollywood elite, you can find it mildly entertaining, but I will never understand at all how it got all of the nominations and accolades it has received so far. It just show you how disconnected the not only like the filmmaking elites, but the art elites in general, how disconnected they are from like real struggles. As everyone has said, it's a movie that's full of stereotypes about you know Mexican culture, trans people, etc. And I just want to add that I felt particularly uh, disgusted by the fact that you know it the way it deals with the disappeared people issue, like the people that have been killed and disappeared by the Mexican cartels, how it deals with that by saying basically this person Emilia Perez used to be like a big cartel leader, but suddenly now after she transitioned, she now wants to help for some reason. It's not only not consistent with the character, it's also like a very, very disgusting way of saying that not only the people that have been disappeared, but the families of those people will never get real justice, because in the end, the only people that can help them are the crime bosses that caused the disappearing in the first place. I don't know. It's just a weird message. Like, I'm from Chile. Imagine like a movie about Augusto Pinochet. Imagine if Augusto Pinochet, they told you a story about how he suddenly, he regrets all of the bad things that he's done, and he suddenly out of nowhere has a change of heart and decides that he wants to help like find the people that he himself killed by the thousands, and people in society are okay with it. It felt like watching that kind of story. It was really, really, really freaking weird in general, but that's like the thing that threw me off, like, and took me out of the movie like completely by that point. Like, there were a lot of things that were like throwing me out of the movie, but that's the thing that killed it completely for me. So yeah, let's just move on from this. I don't want to keep talking about this movie anymore. Okay, so next one on the list, going from worst to best, is A Complete Unknown. And yeah, before going into this, I was hearing all the time that this was just gonna be another by the numbers music biopic. And I extremely considered not going to watch it just because I heard a lot of the same. But I still wanted to give it a shot just in case, just in case I saw something that no one else had seen on this movie. But I was completely disappointed and wrong because all of the opinions were right. This movie is not very special. I mean, it's not bad at all. It's like way leagues above Emilia Perez, for example. It's, I would say it's kind of good, but it's not very deep. It's very surface level. The acting is the best part. Timothy Chalamet, Edward Norton, Monica Barbaro, Elle Fanning, and they're all really good, but the story feels very flat. The best part about the movie, beyond the acting, is the music, of course, and the music from Bob Dylan has been around here since like the mid 20th century. So I don't think we really needed a movie this regular just to try and make like an homage to Bob Dylan's music because it felt short completely. I personally like don't listen to Bob Dylan's music too much, but I think that the thing that was really needed from this movie that we got very little from is just, show us why Bob Dylan's music is so important to people all over the world because you know, they allude to it in the movie by showing some things like, the Red Scare or the civil rights movement, but they don't go deep enough at all in any of those issues. They just, show little bits of those issues and then they say something like, oh, Bob Dylan's music has sold thousands and thousands of records. But there's not too much exploration of that or Bob Dylan's character for the matter. I mean, I get that the idea of the movie is just, nobody ever really knew or knows who Bob Dylan is, and that's, a complete unknown. But, it's a double-edged sword because, you're trying to portray the movie as faithfully as you can to Bob Dylan's character, but at the same time, Bob Dylan's character is not really interesting for the movie at least. Not interesting enough just to carry it for over 2 hours. This movie is way too long. It should have been like an hour and a half tops. So yeah, that's my opinion. Acting is the best part, but honestly, Ingenue Ellis Taylor should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actress instead of Monica Barbaro. Monica Barbaro was good, but Ingenue for Nickel Boys is a much better nomination. I'm gonna get to Nickel Boys, but just wait a little bit. Okay, so next movie on the list is gonna be The Brutalist. Maybe some people could be angry at me because of this, because I know that there's a lot of people that really like this movie, and I kind of did, but I gotta admit to myself that by the end of it, I wasn't very convinced. For a movie that's 3 hours and 30 minutes long, like, come on, like, it says a lot of things, but for me, it never managed to resolve any of them. Like you know, the movie is about like this architect Laszlo that's coming. He migrated to the United States and he's struggling to survive. And I think that that struggle is portrayed by the movie really, really well, and it feels monumental. Not only the cinematography, but the acting makes it feel so powerful, and the music is really great as well. And I think those elements work very well for the first half of the movie. For the first half of the movie, I was thinking, man, this is just a masterpiece from another time, from a bygone era. It was pretty amazing. But when the second part started, especially the last hour or half an hour, it felt like a really, really rushed ending without spoiling too much. Because the movie by the end presented so many ideas, but it felt like it just rushed just to like, you know, conclude all of them and never like really resolve them in a very satisfying or concrete way. And for me, the epilogue of the movie, especially, it felt like really weird. It felt like just the movie trying to congratulate itself. But yeah, it's just so sad because it started really, really well, and the first 2 hours, 2 hours and a half are really good. But then for me, it's just falls off a little bit, like progressively until the end. And the acting and the cinematography, it's still really good for those moments of the movie. It's just the story that kind of stops. It stops being very well articulated, and it just starts to feel like just very random, a little bit messy, and not very satisfying by the end. I understand why people like it, but it's just for me the ending, it's too messy to call it like a movie that's deserving of, best picture or something like that. Okay, so next movie on the list is Wicked. And here we start with the movies that I actually really enjoyed and really liked. And to be completely honest, before watching this movie, I didn't know anything about Wicked, or hadn't even watched The Wizard of Oz, basically. So I really enjoyed it. I was really surprised by it. I thought it was gonna be uh, not as good as it was. It's not only the fact that the world feels very real, and the costume design and the production design, the visual effects are all really great. The acting and the story are really great too. I mean, there's a reason why both Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande are both nominated for Oscars, right? And it's just that they're really, really good. Like, Cynthia Erivo is really great as a main character. She carried the movie very well, but also Ariana Grande, and the songs are really great. I mean, I feel so regretful now to not have discovered this musical before, but at the same time, I'm really happy that I managed to watch it, like experience it for the first time in a movie theater. Now I'm really excited for part 2. I'm really, I was pondering between just watching like the musical in its entirety, or just waiting for the second part of this version of the musical, and I think I'm just gonna wait for the second movie. I've heard that the second part is a bit messy, but I have faith. I have faith. I hope it surprises me again. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie, and I also was really surprised about the social message. I really wasn't expecting for it to go that deep. But then again, I didn't know anything about The Wizard of Oz, or this musical, or this entire universe before going into it. So yeah, I guess I guess I'm gonna wait and see what comes from this. Okay, so next movie on the list is Conclave. Conclave. I have to admit that when I first watched this movie, I heard a lot of buzz around it, and I was really excited to watch it. But when I watched it, I feel like I was like a bit, I liked it, but it wasn't as good as I was expecting. But then I kept thinking about it, like, just watching a bunch of other movies during the year, and I just kept, remembering Conclave, and I was like, man, that movie was so well structured, so well acted, so well paced, so elegant too. And it's just, really intriguing. And at the end of the day, I guess that's the reason why I liked this movie, or ended up liking this movie so much compared, to the other ones that I already mentioned on the list. It's just that it is a really well made movie. Like, for example, I wouldn't call it, just to make a comparison, as entertaining as Wicked, for example, but to me, it's a really intriguing, mysterious movie. It keeps you hooked until the end, trying to, because it's about Ralph Fiennes' character trying to, make machinations in order for the best pope to be elected among the very, very flawed candidates that there are on the conclave. And it's really interesting how he has to deal, his role as a neutral mediator, but he also has a moral and ethical role in regards to, this is very important for this institution, so I might as well have, some role in deciding what's the best person for the most important role in the church, right? And I really hope that Ralph Fiennes wins the Oscar above Adrian Brody, because Adrian Brody is really good in The Brutalist, but I feel like Ralph Fiennes is a little bit more subtle. You can really feel his character's struggle just by the his mannerisms, the way his eye twitches or his face, trembles. It's really interesting. And I can say, I guess, both Adrian Brody and Ralph Fiennes are really good, are the best like male performances of the year. But for me, Ralph Fiennes, just because he does more by being more subtle. For me, it's the better pick. So yeah, next movie on the list is Doom Part 2. And I really liked it. As everyone else that has seen it, apparently, people love this movie a lot. And I liked it a lot, really, too. The thing is, I've seen a lot of people calling it the best movie of the year, a lot of YouTube reviewers, and I understand why they do it, but to me there's better movies this year. Come on. Like, I know this movie's a great cinematic experience. It's really well told, but for me it just has the disadvantage that it's just the middle chapter of this trilogy, and as a movie it works really well, but I feel like the message of Dune is still doesn't come across completely just by this movie. And I get that it's a really good movie, but I don't think it feels complete in order to just call it like a really really, really, really great movie. You know what I'm saying? I guess I could be a little bit messy in what I'm trying to say, but that's my feeling. And the acting is really good. Special effects, cinematography, directing. I mean, yeah, of course, everyone's pissed that Denis Villeneuve didn't get nominated for this. And I agree, he should have been nominated instead of Jacques Audiard, which is the director of Emilia Paris, for example. And in those kinds of decisions, I agree. But there are better movies this year for me. I really enjoyed it as a cinematic experience, but that's the thing. It's such a powerful cinematic experience to just watch in the theater that I just haven't felt the need to watch it again at home. I've just watched like some random clips on YouTube sometimes just to feel entertained, but beyond that, yeah, it's just gonna feel very, very unsatisfying to watch it at home. Okay, so next movie is Nickel Boys, and from this movie until like the rest of the list, I think we're starting to get into the really, really great movies. I would call them masterpieces even, because these are movies that are not only really, really great, really well made, really well written, well acted. These are movies with really, really freaking important messages, and that's what we need today in these hard times where fascism is coming back. We need movies with great, powerful messages to go against everything that's going on in the world. Please. Nickel Boys was just amazing. I felt destroyed completely after watching it. The acting is really great. It's just so sad that Ellis Taylor wasn't nominated for Best Supporting Actress. The cinematography is really creative. For those who don't know, the movie is mostly filmed in a POV perspective from the main character point of view. Some people have found that annoying, but to me, it feels like a really great way just to enter this world, enter, the main character's perspective. And not only that, the sound design was so immersive too. It kind of feels like this movie is a bit like, in regards to filmmaking, it feels like it's this year's The Zone of Interest, but The Zone of Interest, by comparison, was like a really fly on the wall type movie where the camera was just there watching the characters, and this is kind of like the complete opposite of that, but still feels pretty experimental, pretty rich in its technique. You know what I'm saying? And it's also a very powerful movie about systemic racism, how basically even if slavery in the US was abolished by the mid 19th century, there were still the segregation era for at least 100 years more, and how that impacted the lives of black people um, very well into the 20th century. So Yeah, I think it's a really important movie to watch, to experience. Watch it in the theater if you can. Bring tissues, you're gonna cry a lot. But yeah, it's a really important movie, and I'm really happy that it was as good as it was. And I'm really sad as well that it's only nominated for two Oscars, Best Adapted Screenplay and Best Movie. I'm really glad it got nominated for those two, but it should have been nominated for a bunch more. And I feel like it's been like flying very under the radar in this award season. It hasn't won a lot of things, I think. I don't think it hasn't won anything. So please go watch it as soon as you can in the biggest screen you can. If you can't watch it in the theater, watch it at home in the biggest TV you can. And if not, watch it on your computer, whatever. Just watch it, okay? Watch it. It's really good. And I hope more people watch it. I love this movie. Okay, so my third favorite movie of the nominees for Best Picture is I'm Still Here. And this is just beautiful filmmaking all around. And not only beautiful filmmaking, it's just kind of really similar to Nickel Boys. It's a really powerful anti-fascist movie that's really important for today. And I'm really happy that besides having a very powerful message, it's also really, really well made, really well acted. Fernanda Torres won the Best Actress Golden Globe Award for drama, and I hadn't watched the movie at that point, and I was really curious to watch it after that. And I can confirm her acting is really great. The way she portrays the struggle to find her disappeared husband is just heartbreaking. We have to keep making movies that show the horrors of dictatorships, the horrors of forced disappearances, movies that portray them in a respectful way as well. So please watch it. It is incredible. It's a really important movie. I'm really happy it got nominated for like Best Picture, Best Actress, and Best International Feature. I hope it wins Best International Feature against Emilia Perez. I hope that the Academy listened to the people. So yeah, that's what I have to say for now for this movie. Go watch it. Okay, so second place for me, Anora. It's not only one of my favorite movies from last year. For me, it's one of my favorite movies of the decade so far. It was great. It was great. It could have been a really melodramatic Emilia Perez type of movie, I guess, but it's just managed in such a professional, masterful, realistic, and also funny way. It's a movie that doesn't shy away neither from the dramatic aspects of this type of story nor the funnier parts. It just feels very modern, very rich, and it's really well acted as well. I mean, what more can you ask for? It's perfect. I really don't think there's anything bad I can say about this movie or the last two movies I've talked about. As I said, this is just a top tier group for me of movies. So yeah, I really hope this wins. If not Best Actress, it can get something else. Maybe original screenplay. Hopefully original screenplay. But I'm happy with all of these my favorite movies winning anything. So I don't want them to fight. As long as Emilia Perez doesn't get anything, I'll be happy. Okay, so we get into the top of the list. And I just want to say it, The Substance is not only my favorite movie of the nominated for Best Picture, is not only my favorite movie from last year. I've been thinking a lot about this, but I think I can call it my favorite movie of the decade so far. It was just a wild, wild experience just to watch it. It's just a perfect movie. I guess I feel kind of like the same with Anora. It's really well made, has really great acting by everyone involved. But the thing that really sells it a bit more for me is just that it's just so wildly creative, so impactful. It basically grabs you by the throat and it doesn't let go until not even in the credits. Like the credits are wild too. Like after everything you've watched, you just want to rest, and then the credits starts, and they still have like this boom, boom, boom music, and it's like, it was just really entertaining, really exasperating. But it's been a while since I had watched a movie like that, so I really enjoyed it. And the message about beauty standards, the way women are treated, not only in the film industry but by society at large, just it's just really powerful. And I'm really happy that it got nominated for Best Picture, Best Original Screenplay, Best Directing. I mean, Margaret Qualley wasn't nominated for Best Supporting Actress. She should have. Um, but yeah, beyond that, what can I say? If you haven't watched it, go watch it. And I just realized I haven't talked about the specific plot too much of all of these movies, but I just love watching movies without knowing too much of the plot. And I just hope I sold them really good for you. I mean, especially these last four movies that I really enjoyed. I just feel like they're really important movies. They're bringing cinema forward to new places, not only in filmmaking standards but also in the messages they're trying to portray. So yeah, I hope, especially in these times where the world is getting very, very scary, we get more movies like this. Okay, so now I'm back at the beautiful beaches of Vancouver. So yeah, I hope my favorite movies win something, and the others, I'll be happy. Complete Unknown, Emilia Perez can just hope they don't win nothing. And The Brutalist can win something, but the rest is the other movies that I talked about are the good ones. I mean, so we can keep debating in the comments if you want. So yeah, peace.